by our mommy in the Lord and my sister over here. It lays a very good foundation for what we're going to be talking about. My slides. Okay. People like to accuse us that we speak over the heads of our patients. We speak a lot of big grammar and medical jargons. So I'll try my best to speak in simple terms so that at the end of our interaction today, everybody will go home better informed. I'm hoping to learn from you as much as I'm willing to share with you. Okay, without wasting much time, I have my slides now. It's a beautiful theme that we have. It's your time. Okay, can we move on to the next slide? I'm hoping that somebody is going to be able to help me with a pointer at some point. So, infertility, the causes, the treatment, and the impact that it has on persons generally, and more importantly, women. Even though it's a couple problem, we find that women tend to suffer more emotionally from this challenge globally, but at least worse off in our society and culture. All right, can we move on to the next slide? Yes, Isaiah 65, verse 23. They shall not labor in vain or bring forth children for sudden terror or calamity, for they shall be the descendants of the blessed of the Lord, and their offsprings with them. This effort that we're putting in will yield fruit for as many persons as will trust in Jesus' name. All right, can we move on to the myth of the matter? If I'm too fast, please stop me. If I'm speaking above your heads, please caution me. I'm hoping that the question and answer session will shed more light, but I'll try and lay the foundation. My next slide, please. While we're waiting for the next slide, I don't know how it works, but we have this event. Please, let's try and bring the men in too. It's good for the men to also be a part of this. When we run our clinics, fertility clinics, a lot of the time you find that women come in alone. It's a couple problem. It's not a problem of one person. You're not going to impregnate yourself. And as we go along, you find out that the role of the man is also very critical. So why are they left behind? Sometimes they will even tell you everything is okay with me. Go and do your test. And we have seen things. Trust me, we have seen things. I met a man in the course of my practice many years ago. And when we tested him, we found out that this man was not producing any spermatozoa. And then we told him. And then the man said, because you can be producing semen and not spermatozoa. Because the semen is that liquid that comes out post-ejaculation. There are no minors here, are there? So I can use all my words. Because in medicine, we call it what it is. Vagina is vagina. Penis is penis. He said that the name that they asked us to hold sacred, we don't hold it sacred. Then the one that they did not send us, we hold it sacred. Because if somebody hits their leg, they say, oh my God, that's the name that should be sacred. Vagina is vagina. Penis is penis. Don't hold it sacred. All right? My slides. Yes, I was talking about this man. So when we told him, the man said, please don't tell my wife. That he believes the result. And the reason he believes the result is, he's philandered, he's played football in England for many years, he's had many women, and he discovered that nobody had ever come back to tell him that I'm pregnant. And he used to wonder in his own mind that, hope nothing is wrong with me. So when we gave him that result, he knew that, wow. And when he says, don't tell my wife, don't judge us, we have an oath of confidentiality. What you tell me stays with me. It's only who you say I should tell that I can tell. That is what I swore to. And when I was being inducted into the medical profession, and we did that induction ceremony, and my brother, who is a pastor, by the way, said, Wow, people actually really swear. Say yes, so either you swear with the Bible or the Quran, and if you don't believe in any of the two, you lift up your hand and take the oath. So I can't tell anybody. But you see, that kind of man will be accompanying that woman to clinics, and when he accompanies her to clinic, anything they say, you say, me, I'm okay, I'm not going to be tested, because he's not going to tell her. That's the sad reality that we are faced with. Okay, this is the outline that I'll be using. I'll try and define the terms, tell you how many, at least, I'll give you a rough idea of the statistics. How prevalent is this condition? We'll discuss about the process of achieving pregnancy. Then why do people have challenges achieving this pregnancy? What do we do for them when they come to us? How do we treat them? And then we'll conclude, and then we'll ask questions. Can we go on to the next slide? Thank you very much, my multimedia person. Okay, so what is infertility? It is the inability to achieve pregnancy after 1 full year of adequate, unprotected sexual intercourse. Now, we are very specific in definitions. And why is this important? It's important because you see persons after 3 months, they come to the clinic and say, we have not been able to achieve pregnancy. Like somebody was sharing that, she expected that she would get pregnant almost immediately. And most persons, especially people who have been, what's the word now, who have retained their virginity, they just assume that after all, nothing has gone wrong. So once I just have intercourse, I should be pregnant. It doesn't actually work that way. Scientifically speaking, it really doesn't work that way. It needs some time. Now, what do we consider adequate sexual intercourse? We expect that you should be meeting with your partner at least 3 to 4 times per week. Can I repeat that? 3 to 4 times per week. That's like every other day. That's a whole lot. Am I correct? That's a whole lot. 3 to 4 times per week. I should have been doing that for 1 year without achieving pregnancy before we say there is a problem. So if you come after 6 months and say you are not achieving pregnancy, and you're seeing a doctor who is conscientious, you are likely to be sent back, say, go and do more, go and work more. Because you have not yet achieved, you have not fulfilled that baseline criteria. And why is that criteria important? Because pregnancy is not that cheap. Forget the fact that if you walk from here to the next bus stop, almost every other woman you meet is pregnant. So you just assume that pregnancy, it's so cheap. It's not that cheap, man. It takes some time to achieve it. Because when you start to talk about the percentages, the chances of a woman achieving pregnancy every cycle, because it's every cycle that you will release egg. And there has to be egg for there to be pregnancy. If you are going to release egg, averagely maybe about 10, 11, 12, 13 times in a year, depending on your cycle length, how long your menstrual cycle is or how short it is. So that's about the chance that you have in a year to get pregnant. So if you haven't done that, we make exceptions for people who know that have conditions that may affect their fertility. Those ones we may see earlier, 6 months. But for general population, you at least must have been doing that. And there's a reason why unprotected is there. We have seen things. People have been having intercourse, having sex with condoms all year round, and they come and say they're not achieving pregnancy. Because the truth of the matter is they don't know. Whereas people have even been in the process of trying to maintain chastity, having intercourse and dipping the penis between the laps and saying that they are not achieving pregnancy. Because they don't know. So you needed to have fulfilled all these basic criteria before we say that there is a challenge. And you should have done it for 1 year. Now there are 2 types. There are people who have never been pregnant. And there are people who have been pregnant before, and then they're now having challenges achieving another pregnancy. So we'll talk about primary infertility, those who have never been pregnant, and secondary infertility, those who have been pregnant before and now having challenges achieving pregnancy. Hello, multimedia team. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Let's have an easy flow so that people can enjoy this. So those definitions are very critical for you to know where you belong and how we approach your care. Okay, so I think I'm going to make this easier for myself. If multimedia will not help me, I'll try and use. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So it says that about 1 in 6 persons are affected with this condition all over the world. In Nigeria, we say up to 10 to 30% of couples. Please don't forget that I keep emphasizing that it's a couple challenge. Now, 10 to 30% is a lot. What 10 to 30% means is that if you take 10 persons together, at least 3 of them will have this challenge. So imagine we are counting in 10, that every 10, at least 3 of them has this challenge. That's quite a large number. That makes it a major, major problem. Now, the chances, like I was trying to explain to you earlier, of a couple achieving pregnancy, all things being equal, everything okay, in 6 months, it's just about 75%. So that means that if we have 10 couples having intercourse 3 to 4 times a week, that's like every other day, like I said earlier, in 6 months, only about 7 of them will achieve pregnancy. We still have about 3 couples that have not achieved pregnancy. And in 1 year, that improves to about 85%. So not even 100% of them. Nothing being wrong. Don't forget that. Now, about 10 to 15% will need more than a year before they can achieve pregnancy. Next slide, please. Now, this matter, as I said, is very, very, very important because it causes a lot of psychological problems. You need to sit down and listen to women's stories. You need to attend some of our fertility clinics and see how the lives of people have been affected by this challenge. Some women have lost their self-esteem. Some women would have taken a different career path, but because of this challenge, they're just on another path. And they're looking like, I've just lived an entire lifetime chasing a dream. It could have a whole lot of emotional and psychological impact on families. And then the economic burden. Now, fertility care is one thing that most HMOs will not cover. So when you're talking about fertility care, it must come from your pockets. Unless you're lucky, you get on a foundation, an NGO that's able to support, and it can be a whole lot. Especially in these days when we're talking about IVF and all of that, that is not yet readily available in our environment. It's better than some years back, like Mommy said earlier, but it's not yet that readily available. So it costs a lot. It means a lot, and it's a major stressor in most families. Can we go on to the next slide, please? Yes, I'm wishing that I have a pointer here, but please hold on to my voice. I'm trying to let you understand how exactly does pregnancy happen. So this is a cross-section of the uterus. It's as though, as I'm standing in front of you have been cut into 2 this way. And then so you're seeing the second part of me at the back. So that you're cut through the human straight down that way. So you're seeing the uterus. That is what the uterus looks like if you've cut through it. You remove the front part of it, or what we call the anterior part of it. So you have the uterus. You notice that there is an area that has a deeper color. Did you notice that? If I have the pointer, it will be easier to explain this. So I don't know if we switch up the light and we use, sorry? You don't have, okay. All right, so that darker part is the lining of the womb, the middle of the womb, the space inside, the place that sheds as menstruation. It comes out into the vagina. There's a label there. Can everybody see it? Can see the vagina? Yes. So you have from the vagina, that narrow part on top of the vagina is what we call the cervix. That's the part where the baby comes out through the vagina to the outside world. I mean, people, we might talk a lot about cervix now. Even the Twitter and Instagram people, they say they hit their cervix. All right? So from that lining of the womb, you can see that dark place extends into a tube on both sides. Those are the fallopian tubes. Every woman has 2. And now you can see the ovaries. The one that is a bit, is that cream color? That's the ovary. We have 2 on both sides. Now, this is what happens for pregnancy to occur. Recall from your primary secondary school that is from the ovary that the egg comes out. Those tubes have what we call like a finger-like projection, like feather. Like they're just sweeping They sweep like this while inside you. They're just sweeping like this. So once egg drops, they pick up the egg. That's why they're very closely related to the ovary. Once an egg drops from that ovary, they just pick it up. And because they're constantly in this sweeping motion, they sweep it into the lining. And then inside that lining of the tube, they stay there and wait after ovulation. Following sexual intercourse, a man will deposit millions of spermatozoa in the semen that he has released in the woman's vagina. And then those spermatozoa inside the semen, because the semen is a fluid, it contains spermatozoa, some proteins, some other elements. Those spermatozoa in their millions will now start their race, racing to go and meet that egg. There are a lot of challenges on the way, but the simple story is that inside that vagina, the vaginal pH is acidic. Majority of them will first of all die off. Some of them will be washed back. That's why when people say, those are our helpers. We have a lot of helpers. Those are helpers that used to stay at bus stop. They will open one boot. They will say there is Eda. There is nothing called Eda. Every woman experiences Eda. But because women don't exchange notes about their sexual escapades, that we're not like men. It's men that say, when I did this, I did this, I did that. Women don't, especially in our own culture. So you will not know that the other woman by your side is also experiencing that thing. Unless you are now having a challenge, you now begin to think, is this thing the problem? Or is this why I'm having this challenge? And that's why people talk about EDA. They're not like EDA. The quantity of semen that a man will release into you varies from time to time and from person to person. So if a man releases, pours like 5 mils, maybe about 1 mil or 2 mils or 3 mils may come out, depending on the volume, it will flow back because semen liquefies. It's thicker when it first comes out, then begins to go watery. And so the watery part will flow out. But people do not know that. So then they continue that race. Inside that pH, some of them will die, that acidic pH, and the rest will continue their movement. As they're moving into the lining of the womb, there are some things in the human body that are called the macrophage. They are the soldiers of the body. They just see a foreigner, they kill it. So those also will also perceive them like, who are these foreigners? They'll kill some of them. The million is reducing, Abi. They keep going, up until they get into that tube. When they get to the tube, they see the egg. Then the spermatozoa that gets luckiest now attaches to the egg. And then fertilization takes place. That's the story. This story is very important in understanding what investigations we do. Because when there is a challenge achieving pregnancy, because we understand this basic story, we now begin to ask ourselves, were there enough spermatozoa at the beginning? Were they able to navigate that hostile pH and move forward? Was there a problem? Are you with me? So we ask questions around the semen. Then we say, after fertilization, so we go there, we say, the woman, did she release egg? When the spermatozoa got to the tube, did it meet egg? Was there egg? We have to ask that one too. That tube, is it free for the egg and spermatozoa to pass and meet themselves? Those are the questions we ask because we already understand how the process works. And then we now say, after the fertilization, the fertilized ovum, the zygote will now, the embryo will move. It will move in days and go into the lining of the womb and start implanting itself there and start growing there. So we ask ourselves again, that place that they want to go and implant, is it friendly enough for implantation? That's what forms the basis of everything we do in fertility clinic and even in fertility care. Next slide, please. I have a video.
This model is depicting what happens during fertilization. So we see that the sperm have been deposited at the top of the vagina. They swim through the opening into the cervix, into the uterus, and then they head out into the uterine tubes. Some of them make it into the correct uterine tube where that secondary oocyte is hanging out, and fertilization will occur. Now we have this leftover pit in the ovary where the follicle used to surround the secondary oocyte, and over time that's going to develop here into a corpus luteum, and that corpus luteum is secreting hormones that are going to be maintaining pregnancy until the placenta develops. The other thing that we see here is a mucus plug forming at the bottom of the cervix to keep things out of the uterus, and the blastocyst is just beginning implantation. So this is probably about a week after fertilization, and again, that blastocyst is going to be implanting in the endometrium.
It's wanted to let you know that now, based on what we already know, when there's a challenge achieving pregnancy, 30% of the time the challenge is with something going wrong with the woman. 30% of the time is with the man. Another 30% of the time, there's a problem both ways. And then 10% of the time, you run all the tests, and there is nothing wrong with either of them. And we label that one unexplained infertility. You know, the Bible says that we know in part. Yeah. We based on the scientific knowledge that we have. And science is one of the most beautiful things to happen to mankind. And we should open our minds to embrace science. When people have questions about science, I ask them, if we didn't have light, which is one of the most important discoveries in science, you will not be, I'll be struggling to speak with you today. I've had an incident that lost my voice this morning. But I'm speaking with you because we have this microphone. It's light. That's fantastic science. That's why we have, it's on this basis that we have camera phones that you're enjoying today. It's on this basis that we have this beautifully elegant dress that have been well ironed out, produced in factories in large quantities. It's on that basis that we have TVs, on that basis that we have radios, on that basis that we have a lot of things. That's science. And if you go and read and study and find out about what it took for that discovery to come, and how people were even against some of these discoveries before we get to this point, you understand that science is evolving. When GSM first came to Nigeria, we were all using Sagem and Motorola and Nokia and all of those things. Look at where we are today. Why would somebody say, I want to be using that Sagem? It's Sagem that I want to be using. But when they now tell you that our science has moved, they say, this one, am I going to do it? This one, why did you think that you are helping God when you sit down here and you are talking to somebody in America? And talking to somebody in Canada? And you're talking to somebody, they'll be seeing your face. And during COVID, we're doing meetings on phone, meetings that will travel from here to Ikobayo to go and do. You know, that's the benefit of science. Let's move faster. Let's go. Yeah. So, what are the things that can go wrong? Like I explained to you earlier, in the woman, the problem can be in that tube. Maybe that tube is blocked. So, the spermatozoa and the egg, they cannot meet. If the tube is blocked, if there is a blockage in that tube, tell me how else this process I've explained to you will work. If they're not going to meet, egg will be produced. So that will drop in vagina, it will travel to, but they will not meet. If they don't meet, how will fertilization take place? And it's only when you understand these basic things that you are able to open your mind and accept when a doctor, a professional tells you, oh, there is tuber blockage. Now, because I've shown you that there is two, the truth is that for any organ that God gave us two, usually we are able to do with one. You are able to go ahead with one. Two eyes, if something happens to one eye, you go ahead with one. That's why people do kidney transplant. Two kidneys, the kidneys are bad, they give you one kidney, you're living your life. Two testes, one, the other one will function. Two breasts, one will function. It is those organs that are one that if there's problem, heart, liver. But everything that God gives us in two, once one is functioning, you will get back. So, if the tube, one is blocked, it's not a problem. I've seen many women with one tube have many babies. In actual fact, we did a surgery sometime last year. We were going to remove the woman's uterus. This woman had 4 children. She was having a fibroid. She was bleeding heavily. We didn't take out the womb. And then we got in and discovered that, she got only one tube. We had to do a video to show her that that's how we met it all. That's how she came to this life with one tube. And she had 4 children, 4 beautiful children. She never attended a fertility clinic. So any organ that you have one, so if you have a challenge with one tube, the other one will function. Usually when they tell you that, the tubes are blocked, we need to consider another method, it is because the two are blocked. And one of the things that makes tubes get blocked, some conditions, some medical condition, endometriosis, sometimes recurrent sexual infections, sexually transmitted infections, those ones can also cause what we call adhesions that block tubes. Now, it could be things with the uterus, challenges with the uterus. You know, I told you all the basic points that problem can be, the things that are important. You need the spermatozoa to be plenty. I'm going to go to that. But for in the woman, the uterus, if there's fibroids there, it could be a factor. Fibroids is not a cause of infertility. That's a topic for another day. It could be because the uterus did not develop well from childhood. Some people have challenges from when they were born, whereby the uterus did not develop very well. It could be because there is infection in that lining of the womb that will not allow implantation to take place very well. It may be because there are adhesions within the lining of that womb. Now, it could also be because that mucus, I'm telling you, that is at the level of the cervix, is hostile. It's not accepting or is developing some antibodies against the spermatozoa. So it never allows it to pass. And that's why we do something that we call a post-coital test. We collect the woman's secretion after intercourse, and we see how many of the spermatozoa are retained based on the functionality of that mucus. And now it could also be because the woman is not releasing eggs. There are many reasons why a woman may not be ovulating. Many, many reasons. We'll go to that. Okay, so let's go to the male factors. Next slide. Yes, so the factors that affect men, it could be at the level of hormones before you even get to the testes, the hormones that control the production of the, the semen, the semen that contains the spermatozoa in the testes. It may be at the level of the testis itself. The challenge may be in the testis itself. And it may be that this man is producing, but the thing is not coming out. So it's post the testis. So it could be it could be at the level of the testis, and it could be post testis, and it could be some other related factors. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide, we're moving. Yeah, so these are a whole lot of medical jargons that you don't need to know about now that are classified under each of these categories of male factors. So when we're evaluating the man, if we find that he's not producing enough semen or spermatozoa, we'll now begin to ask ourselves which of these is the possible cause. The next slide. The next one. Yeah, there are other things, there are other factors that could be very important. The singular most important factor in fertility is the age of the woman. The age of the woman is a very critical factor in infertility and fertility care. And also the age of the man is also important because people begin to have some medical conditions as they grow older that may affect their semen production as men. And in women, the ovulation in a woman reduces as she ages. There's nothing you can do about aging. Aging is a basic fact of nature and it will come. Now, knowledge deficit as well. People do, I told you about some of the wrong things that people do in terms of sexual intercourse. Some people don't have frequent intercourse. You meet women that come to your clinic, they say, I've told you 3 to 4 times a week. And some people come to your clinic and say, I'm not getting pregnant. I say, well, I say, my husband is living in America. He will come in December. Then he will spend 1 week and then he will go. You're not going to get pregnant inside this clinic, unless you want to do a medical science method, because I don't know how that was going to happen. Now, the timing of intercourse is also important, and then some people consume. These days people consume a lot of toxic things. There's a lot of those what do you call them now? All those nonsense things that people take that you don't know the constituents and how it affects them. Then smoking and alcohol is always has this negative effect on gametes. Some drugs can have side effects that can affect your fertility. And there's this practice that people do that we try to discourage. After intercourse, some people use some special agents. They say they use it to wash up. Something that is still having its own challenge to struggle to pass. You will use something that will kill part of it again. I don't know what you are washing. And the people that have multiple sexual partners, that could be a factor because they are prone to sexually transmitted infection, repeated infections. It will now lead to adhesions and then blocked tubes or cause infection in the womb and all sorts of things. And nutrition is also important. Radiation, but people receive treatment, and after the treatment, it affects their fertility, affects the gametes. Now, we discourage people wearing closed underwears. Men that wear clothes, I don't know what they want. So maybe they say we want to pack something. Okay, and then So that's not very healthy. And then those that sit on hot seats. You know those lorries they used to drive in the past that they will put on, they will sit on it for a long time and drive long distance, and the thing will be hitting their blockers. It's not very good though. It's not. In medical school, we were taught that there is a reason why God thought that this particular organ, the temperature of the entire body is not okay for it. He went and hung it separate. Say separate here. Then you now go and danosu. You now put something. Let's move. Yeah, let's move. Let's move. Let's move. Are we making sense? Yes. Thank you. So when you come to the clinic, what do we do? There are three legs that our interaction with patients usually stands on. We ask you a lot of questions. We're asking you questions to know. So the three legs are that we ask questions, then we examine you, then we do some investigations. And why do we ask all of these questions? Because we want to pick up on things that may be of benefit to us. For example, I'm asking you questions. How old were you when you started menstruating? Some people have delayed menstruation. They don't start menstruating for a long time. That may be because there's a problem at the hormone level. So it begins to let me have an idea of where is the challenge. Some people don't menstruate regularly. They menstruate 2-3 times in a year. I begin to have an idea. This is why it is happening. And I think I should use this opportunity to let you know that what is important, what they ask you for your last period, is the very first day that the period started. What do I mean by that? When they say, when was your last period? They say, it's on Friday. But meanwhile, Friday is the day you ended the period. The period started on Monday. What I'm interested in is the first day of that period flow. I use the opportunity of anywhere I speak to educate and enlighten women so that when you are asked by your doctor, you know. And it's always good to have the records of your menstrual cycle. These days, we have many apps on the phone. I tell people that the phone is serving many benefits now. But unfortunately, most of the benefits I said, we don't utilize them. We rather like to focus on the Instagram and the Gist Lover and the Snapchat and all of that. But you can use it. There are apps. You just go there, you record the day your period starts. You record all your symptoms. When you come to me and say, when was your last period? What about the one before that one? What about the one before that one? You just show me a beautiful app. It tells me an entire story that helps me to quickly make up my mind as to what might be going on. We also want to know what happened. Have you been pregnant before? What happened in that pregnancy? Was there any complication that may have affected the womb, that may have affected your state, so that we will be able to offer help? It is when we know where the challenge is that we go and fix. For the men who want to know, have you been having recurrent, what did they used to call it in that time? Arungbajumo. Or have you had any surgeries in your blockers before? Or have you had mumps as a child? That is important because you know that one of the complications that can follow that particular infection is affectation of the genitals in the males. Okay, and we also want to know those ones that have occupation that are hazardous. You know, where people are not driving those long journeys now, they pull laptop. Examine you. About the physical examination is to look at you from head to toe. There can be telltale signs. There are certain hormonal conditions that women have. They may be very short. There are certain hormonal conditions they have. They may be very tall. We can tell all of those. We can look at the hair distribution on your face. You have some hormonal conditions. You see people that have beards here. They are having their beard as women. You say, this one, I can know where the challenge might be. Then we begin to do investigation. Now, based on what I've told you earlier, what are the investigations we do? The first thing that we ask is, this man, is he producing enough semen? And the parameters that we ask in that semen, we ask, is he producing enough? Now, when a man produces semen and produces spermatozoa, he produces them in millions. We know that for every man, a certain percentage will be abnormally formed. But we expect that more of it will be well formed. So when we want to ask ourselves, share the percentage that is well formed, is it okay? Or is it that almost everything that is producing is not well formed? We also want to ask, are they fast enough to move? Before all those challenges that I said they will experience on their way, are they fast enough to move and get to the tube? Because it's not enough for you to deposit it in the vagina and sit down there. You must move and chase that egg. So we ask all of those questions. The count, the concentration, the volume, the morphology, that's the one that is abnormal, the motility, the movement. We ask all those questions. Then for the woman, we ask, is this woman, is she producing eggs? When she produces the egg, is the egg able to travel through the tube and meet a spermatozoa? That means, is there any blockage in the tube? And then we ask, after they have met, can this embryo travel and land in the lining of the womb? And when it lands in the lining of the womb, is that place fertile enough? Is it good enough? Is it conducive for growth and implantation. Those are the questions we ask when we do testing. Then we do what we call ovarian reserve testing in older women or women who have some background medical condition, because we want to know. Because the eggs that a woman has, when I was talking about aging, the eggs that a woman has, she has had it from when she was in her mother's womb. So when you're in your mother's womb, you have had all your eggs. And then all those eggs, you are arrested in a phase of growth. They just stay there up until puberty. Then you now start menstruating, they are released. Then every month you'll be releasing some. So you can imagine how those eggs have been reducing from that time to whatever age you are at. Next slide, please. Now, so those are the parameters we check for in the semen for men. So before you go to war, the first thing you ask is that this gun, is it loaded? So if I don't see your husband, you are coming to clinic. Well, which gun are we going to shoot at the war? Because you have to know whether the man is he a male man? Is he producing what we need? Because we need spermatozoa, we need egg for fertilization, pregnancy. All right, let's go to the next slide, please. So what do we do? I told you, if the tubes are blocked, if you know any other way, you can explain to me, you can give me ideas now so that we will start discussing it in scientific settings. If the tubes are blocked, there's no other way those two things will meet. The spermatozoa and the egg. So what do we offer those kind of people? We offer them assisted reproductive techniques. It's the beauty that science has given us. I tell people there is no greater miracle than science. If God has given knowledge to one human being, he has produced one drug, I give it to somebody who sleep, and I give another one, you wake up. That's miracle. And this idea of assisted reproductive techniques that we're talking about is the biggest miracle you can even think about. Something that when 10 people do it, maybe 7 will not work. Then your own work. Say it's not miracle. Okay. All right. If it's problem with releasing eggs, you're not ovulating, we'll give you drugs, you can ovulate. If there's problem with the lining of the womb, it's something that can be amenable to surgery, we'll do surgery. If it's something that needs medication, we'll give medication. If it is that cervix, that place where I said that there is one hostile mucus that will be causing challenge for the semen, we'll say, okay, if you want to be hostile, we'll boycott you. We'll just go beyond it and go and drop the semen inside the womb and say, we have shortened your journey. Oh, yeah, continue the journey. And then it will continue. Because we have bypassed it. If nobody lock this gate and say, okay, you lock this one and pass that side. That's just simply what we do. Now, if it is a male factor, sometimes they require surgery, sometimes they require medication, we'll take care of it. Sometimes there's nothing, you just know that this man, maybe for some funny reasons, the garment is not developed well, he's not going to produce anything. You use donor semen. Sometimes we use donor semen. We collect semen from another person, we fertilize the woman's egg, the woman carries the pregnancy, she borns her baby. All right, let's go. Next one. I want to quickly get to the question and answer segment. So there are many procedures that we do under assisted reproductive techniques, which is simply us boycotting any challenge that you have and bringing the garments together to achieve pregnancy. That's just a whole lot of medical procedures that we do, including surrogate motherhood. I'll talk more about that later. Yeah, and sometimes we do all of these things. Medical science is not 100%, and it doesn't work. I've seen women who have done IVF 7 times and have gotten results after the 7th attempt. And I've seen those that have done 7 times and have still not gotten results. Precisely last week, somebody called me that there's a woman who's done IVF 7 times and she still wants to take a go at it. I wanted to refer the patient to me and I said, okay, for starters, I will see that woman without collecting any fees. Because I like I said earlier, we feel the pains as well. You cannot imagine what it means if you do a procedure for a patient and you are not successful and you're going to go and tell the woman it's negative. Even you have had headache. Maybe you're having only your own headache. Me, I will have headache of Mrs. A and Mr. and Mrs. B and Mr. and Mrs. C. So sometimes the body that is on us too is not easy. All right. So adoption might be an option. And it's very important when we have these classes to let us know that, yes, it might be an option for some persons. It may be an option, and we shouldn't close it out. And sometimes when you have these conversations with women, they say, Doctor, are you saying that's the only way out? No, I'm not saying that's the only way out. But I'm saying, Madam, I'm saying, Mrs. B, that you have been at this thing for 25 years. You've done IVF 7 times, it has not worked. Can we look at something else that will bring this joy that we want? Because ultimately, the focus is the goal. We want to carry a baby. We want to bring happiness into this home. Because babies bring happiness. New life brings happiness. There's nothing that is new that doesn't give joy. Have you said, you give me new canal? All the one I'm talking gently, we have energy. Yeah, everything new brings joy. So it might just be adoption for you. And I've seen persons who have adopted and are living happily. I actually have friends who have adopted. And sometimes, on rare occasion, some people say, no, I've done enough. I'm going to be a part of other people's joy. It is still an option. Some people say, no, I'm not doing it anymore. I've had all of this pain, I'm not doing it. After all, there are people who say, I don't want to have children this time. I don't want to have children. No, I don't have time for all the trouble and all the wala that is involved. So that's an option, and we should not close our minds to it. Let's go. We're almost rounding up, so you can enjoy the other part. So what do we do in IUI, which is one of the options of the self-reproductive technique? What we just do in IUI is we prepare the semen outside. We collect the semen from the man, prepare it outside, and we send it into the uterus to continue his journey. It's different from the IVF proper, and I'll show you how. That one we prepare it specially with some special agents. We give it agbara. We'll say, okay, go and continue your journey. Right? That is like saying that Moses stretched forth his rod, pew, and the Red Sea was parted. Yeah, let's go. Yes, for IVF, what do? We give the woman some drugs. She produces many eggs. Ordinarily, a woman will produce 1 or 2 eggs in a cycle. But when we give her those drugs, she produce plenty, so there'll be plenty. Then we collect the eggs. Then we collect the semen from the man. Then we bring the 2 of them outside. That's it that should have happened in the womb. We do it outside. That's why they call it test tube baby in the past. We do it outside, bring them together, fertilization takes place. We watch the the embryo for some days, and then we transfer it back into the lining of the womb and say, go and continue growing. Miracle. Let's go. Yeah, so this is showing how the transfer is done. You have the embryo in the catheter. You just insert it and put it in the womb, and then it continues on its own implantation. Fuse, that's the catheter. And then you drop. You can see that embryo that's been dropped. On the black picture, it's been dropped in the lining of the womb. And it's going to go and continue his own journey along his destiny. Next slide. Yes, there's another entity which we call the ICSI. So when we do the routine IVF, what we do is we expose the spermatozoa to eggs. Then we look at those ones that fertilize. But in ICSI, we'll carry the spermatozoa and put it inside the egg. That's simply the best way to describe what we do in ICSI. The next one. Yeah, these are just a kind of other procedures that we do in ART. And these days we can do what we call PGD, we can do assisted hatching, we can, when we are having challenges with a man producing semen, we can collect with different methods. We can use different methods to collect the semen. We'll go and bring it out from there. These days we freeze embryo, we freeze eggs, we freeze semen. Like all those people that say that my husband is living in Canada, it's okay, bring the man, let him produce semen, and we will freeze it. Then when we want to fertilize, we fertilize. And so all of those things that we're able to do is the benefits of knowledge and science, and it is only God that gives knowledge. Thank you. Next one. I'm rounding up. Now, there are many challenges with these procedures, I must admit. There are ethical challenges with IVF. So some people say, when you fertilize, you have fertilized. They say, we fertilize 6, we're going to transfer 3 to you. What happens to the remaining 3? Some people say it's life. You're throwing it away, you discard them. It's valid. It's valid concern, don't you think? It's valid concern that this thing has fertilized, so life has begun. Why are you discarding them? Well, those are challenges that, as science advances, we overcome those challenges. Of course, legal issues. People worry that if I use a donor, if I use a donor semen, if I use surrogate mother, won't somebody come and chase me tomorrow? Yeah, well, the legal frameworks are improving over time. Most of the challenges that we used to have in the past, we're overcoming them. We have guidelines. You sign contracts. And most of these things are covered. I can tell you that a lot of the testimonies that you hear in church is IVF. And sometimes when these women and these couples invite us for child dedication. You know, when you have been successful, you buy your doctor and say, come and eat rice. So you go there and they're sharing their testimony. Sometimes it's like, am I in the right place? Is it not our patient? Yes, because we judge ourselves in this society. Some people come and tell you what you want to hear. So when you come to the church, they say, if you want me to be, it's a miracle. It's miracle. I didn't go to the doctors. I just stopped going to the doctors. I just told myself God is going to do. It's God that did it. If God did it through, I have a firm belief that God has put human beings on this planet so that you don't have to be coming down to do things anymore. Say, you will ever say, yes, now. So you have good people on this planet. You will be doing my work. You are the gods on earth to do my work. So they'll tell you what you want to hear and you'll be happy. So don't let anybody's testimony go and disturb you from doing your own. No. Don't let it. Yes, there are people who it happens for naturally. I met a woman last year. She was very upset. Why? She was in IVF clinic. They said, when your period starts, we're going to start this process. And then they were waiting for her period to start. She said, my period has not started. I said, go when your period starts. She goes, but my period has not started. I said, go when your period starts. I said, don't you people think I should test me for pregnancy? They look at her and say, you that have been waiting for 12 years. Now that now that I will test you. And lo and behold, she was pregnant. So yes, we acknowledge the sovereignty of God. There is always a G factor. And that is why we have a dogma in medicine. We say never say never. And for medical school, they teach you never to say never. If you see any question in medical school and they say all the time, and you go and pick yes, you will fail it. And you pay for it, they will remove your mark again. Because you are being taught to learn that you are not God. And you can never say never. And you can never draw the final conclusion on any human being's life. Are you the writer of the story? No. But let us open our minds to things that are possible. And IVF journey, reproductive journey can be challenging. I told you before, financially, the stress, going back and forth to the doctor, exposing, it makes you vulnerable. You expose all of yourself to another human being. We recognize that and we respect it. It's a huge privilege to sit down somewhere and somebody tells you all of their life story, all they've been through. You ask questions about their privacy. They give you that information out of respect and because they need you to help because you have the advantage of knowledge. It's a great privilege and we don't take it for granted. All right, I think we should be on the last slide now. Yes, so how do we, there are things that we can prevent and there are things that we cannot prevent. I've told you that people who have married virgin, they suffer, they've not had children. Yes, but there are some certain things that are for work far. Multiple sexual partners, infection will come. There's no how you can be meeting A and meeting B. You know that common story that they say that if I shake my mommy here, and I ask these two lovely sisters to shake themselves, and we say, let us begin to shake ourselves that way, round in this hall. In 5 minutes, and we start to say, how many people have you shaken? Did you shake somebody that shook this person, that shook this person? You find out that you have shaken everybody in this room indirectly. That's what multiple sexual partner does. I meet with one person, I say it's only this person I'm meeting with. But this person is meeting with 1, 2, 3. And that person is meeting with 1, 2, 3. So before you know it, you have slept with the whole Lagos. Indirectly or not directly. All right. And I mean, we are in church now. We're kind of talking about abortion. So that one is a no. All right. I should deliver in hygienic places. I'm happy that the Redeemed Church is investing heavily in health now. All right. So infertility is a medical problem. It's a social problem, especially in Africa, where we value children. Some people they say no, it's dog. I was schooling somewhere in the UK and we were supposed to have a meeting on a Saturday. And one of my teachers said, I won't be able to come. I say, why? I say, my cat has epilepsy. So I said, So in conclusion, I'll say that medical science has advanced, medical science has improved. We're able to help many more women. It's only for us to open our hearts and accept this gift that God has given to us. Thank you very much. I do hope that I have made impact. Thank you. It's a rare privilege. I don't take it for granted. Can you go back to my previous slide? I put it there. I said, It is very important at this junction to say with or without a baby. If you consider the story that I told you earlier about how pregnancy occurs, you yourself, you're a miracle. You're worth it. You're occupying space on this planet, making impact, doing wonderful things, and you can live a whole and fulfilled life with or without a baby. Thank you once again. So I'll be glad to take all of your questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bisi. That was such an enlightening session. So, if we have anyone that has questions, I actually have a question. I want to know, Dr. Bisi, I want to know what is the criteria that would happen to a woman that would necessitate adoption. So, why can't she do IVF? Why can't she do surrogacy? Was the womb removed? What happened that the womb was removed and she cannot carry a pregnancy and it has to be adoption?
So, your answer is inside your question. You have said it. Sometimes, some people, their womb has been removed. Even this surrogacy, they've tried it a couple of times. It's not worked. And they say, well, I don't want to go through all of that process. I just want to. And then some people, for altruistic reasons, also believe that if there is, I am here searching for a child. If there's a child in this world that somebody is thrown away, I want to show that child love. Do you understand? So some people actually think that way. Some people even have complete families, and they decide that my own is to make a child feel that there is love. You understand? How many of us know that the very famous actress, Joke Silva, was an adopted child? She was an adopted child. The story is not hidden. I just told the story in interviews of how she didn't even know, she wasn't told that she was adopted, but she had stumbled on certain documents in her mother's home. And her mother used to be a medical doctor. She's late now. She's one of the oldest early female medical doctors in the country. So sometimes that will be an option. So it could be an option after trying things, and it could be an option from the beginning.
So it could also be an option that somebody is led. Because sometimes, like she said, some people already have children. I know somebody who has 4 children, and she said that they are still planning as a couple to adopt. Sometimes, like she said, it's because somebody wants to show another child love. Sometimes it's because God specifically instructs a person to go and adopt. And I know somebody who adopted that. In fact, if they don't tell you that she adopted that child, you can. The love is so palpable. You can almost touch that love she has for that child. I've seen it, and there are people who adopt, and it's such a beautiful thing. So adoption is legal, it is spiritual, it is approved of God. So any other question? Yes, my sister.
Please come and ask your question. Praise God. I will ask my question. I was thinking to add what he said. I say myself, most of my church ladies that adopted the baby, they ended up having their own personal children because that adoption brought their own baby from their womb, their own mother's baby. Then my question goes on. I meant to saying that yes, for women, for ladies, can affect. I don't know what I'm right. I need you to
Expatiate on it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I also remember that I'm sure that you heard me saying as well that we never say never in medicine, and we don't like to use the word all. But we're never absolute because we always leave the other factor of God. But we know that there is a medical condition that affects women's ovulation. And in that medical condition, now that they don't ovulate regularly, one of the signs we see is beards on women. They used to have beards. So it can be a pointer. So if I'm already thinking that you may have this, and then I now look at you, I'm seeing those signs, say, oh, okay, maybe this is what I'm dealing with. But there are some people that in their family, they used to have it too. We recognize that as well. But it's just that it can be a pointer in certain people.
I want to appreciate everything you've said today. My question is, what could be the cause for, at times in a month, you no menstruation, like you will not menstruate. Then in another month, you will have to menstruate like twice in a month. Like That is that is what I do experience. So in a month you will not have like, was it 1 month was like, in fact that month I was like, ah God, you have finally answered my prayer. Like I did, nothing happened, like no message, nothing. Then after that month, the next month it came, and that same month again, twice. What could be the cause?
So first of all, I join my faith with yours, and I still maintain that God has finally answered your prayers. All right. So now, what you have described is what we call irregular menstruation. Your menstruation is not coming regularly. Menstruation is another topic on its own. Now, what we expect of a menstrual cycle is that it should have a pattern, a predictable pattern. That, oh, I menstruate every 30 days, or I menstruate every 28 days, or I menstruate. But when you're having that kind of pattern you're describing, it's irregular. And then you need to now see a professional. We ask you more questions, and then we help you to understand why your pattern is irregular. Because one of the other challenges we recognize is that when there is an irregular pattern of menstruation, it's difficult to predict when you are ovulating. It is difficult. Because if I know that, oh, every morning somebody comes to drop eggs for me in front of this church, I just need to come and pick it up. Then every morning at 8 a.m., I know it usually comes at 8 a.m., I'll come and pick it up. But if the person comes whenever he or she likes, 8 a.m., 8 p.m., if I want to do any of that, I'm going to do it now. I'll say, I don't know when it's going to come. So when you have a pattern like that, it's not easily predictable. Your ovulation is not easily predictable. It makes it a little bit more challenging. But I can assure you that it's a problem that can. One of the easiest things to deal with in fertility is ovulation challenges. That one is easy for us to manipulate and get results. I'm happy for the questions. It means we communicated. That's what I'm saying, that the irregularity have many multiple causes. It's only when you have interacted with a doctor, we investigate, find out this is the reason for this person's irregularity. Because the reason for irregularity in Mrs. A might not be the same with Mrs. B. So we need to find out why the cycle is irregular. There are many reasons why a woman may not be ovulating regularly or menstruating regularly. Thank you. Hallelujah.
I really appreciate your enlightenment and everything. God bless you in Jesus' name. So my question is that you spoke about quick washing off, and then like, well, what are you cleaning? What are you? Can quick washing off or cleaning up after intercourse, can it affect fertility? And then is it good for a woman to wash the vagina with soap?
I love this audience. So one, your question has two parts. When I say washing off after intercourse, we don't want to be unhygienic. You want to wash up, yeah? But we don't want to wash up with special agents. No, because we call it douching. You see that we didn't use the word just washing. We said douching. Because douching is that they will give you one special nonsensical nonsense to wash. We don't want that one. That's one. Now, two, the vagina is a very beautiful organ. Not because that is where I work, but it's a very beautiful organ. Ask the men, they'll tell you. Abi, it's a beautiful organ, right? God bless you. Amen? Yeah. So the vagina was created to cleanse itself. That's one of the reasons why you know that God is just God and all encompassing and everything. It cleanses itself. And that's why you have, every woman has vaginal secretions. Every woman has vaginal discharge. I don't know that anyone's going to say, I have vaginal discharge. Now you have vaginal discharge. And vaginal discharge will change as per what day of the cycle that you're on. You understand me? So we expect that you would have vaginal discharge. We expect that the vagina will clean itself. And that's why we say the regular mild soap that you use to take your bath, if you have it on you, you can use it to wash up yourself. But so people think that I've got this vagina, it's vagina, you have to I have to wash it. And they'll go and bring one thing that will not be disrupting the pH of that place. And it has a pH that is favorable for it. You're now going to bring things that will alter the pH, alter the environment, change that natural environment that God has created for it to be in. No, we don't want that. Now, there are many of them, especially all those Forever, GNLD, they have all those special vaginal wash. Please avoid them. Any other questions? Please go ahead now. Good morning. Why is age not affecting IVF? Because medical science has blessed us with the benefit to do so many things with it. You see how, that thing they used to call PS5? That when you are playing it on the TV, you almost be as if you are in the field. They will have mercy and you will change it. Medical science is getting to that place with IVF. So we can almost do anything now with IVF. I've seen a 70-year-old woman carry and deliver twins. Yeah, in this Lagos. 70-year-old woman. We're very happy. In fact, if you Google it, you will find it. They had their babies. Why? Because all we need to do, that uterus that after menopause that starts shrinking, will give you some drug, Agbera. Then that woman will not get egg from her because she has reached menopause. We'll collect egg from a younger girl. If the man has semen, we use the semen. If the man doesn't have semen, we borrow semen. If the woman says does not have womb, we borrow womb. Yes, we borrow womb. That's surrogacy. Surrogacy is that we borrow womb now. We borrow your 9 months. Just 9 months. Bam. After 9 months, we collect. Thank you very much. The owner of the baby goes with the baby. Yes. But borrowing, there's nothing you cannot borrow now. We borrow egg. We borrow semen. We join it together. We borrow womb. Then we give you baby. I don't borrow somebody's husband. No. I'm not there. Plenty things can cause it. Plenty things. Some drugs can even cause it. If you're having bleeding problem, it can cause it. Fibroids can cause it. Child polyps can cause it. Many things that can cause it. Side effect of drug, even side effect of some contraceptive medication can cause it. You see, there's no one cap fits all in most things in medicine. So we have to look at you individually, ask questions. Like I said, 3 legs that we usually start with. Ask questions, examine you, do tests. They will say, this is the cause of your own challenge. It's different from Mrs. B. However, it's not good. That thing that Nigerian women do. They say, my friend went to the hospital. They said that this is the drug. Yeah, give it to me. I'll be using it. It's not good though. Because you can use the mercy of headache to treat the leg. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Last, they want to cast me. But I refuse to be casted. So, there is no doubt that most of the medicines that we have today in medical practice came from herbs. We all know, we're not denying that fact. But it has gone through process. Abi, they will say that this is the quantity that is good, this is the quantity that is appropriate. The challenge that we have with the agbo that people are using the fact that what's the dose? How many things are inside? If you buy artemether lumefantrine that we're using to treat malaria now, it's from a plant. Go and look at they tell you it contains this in this quantity, it contains that in that quantity. It's not better for me than the one that I just say, I mix it. This is how my grandmother used to mix it. Me, I don't know how many people that grandmother mix it for that died. I don't know. Because the people they say in Yoruba, they say, kò sẹ́ni tó ń gbẹ̀bí àgùntàn, kò sẹ́ni tó ń gbẹ̀bí ewúrẹ́. How many people have counted the number of ewúrẹ́ that died during childbirth? We didn't count them, but we counted humans. Abi? So you cannot be using that method though, unless you're very sure of what you are using and you know the dose. Because they are going that one person will take one. Is it one spoon? Is it one cup? Is it one drum? You don't know. Yes, we have to know. All right, any more questions? Thank you so very much, Dr. Bisi. We appreciate your coming. Thank you so much.